PDAC 2026, we are here back in Toronto at the largest commodity conference in the world, and are here at the booth of IsoEnergy, and with me is CEO Phil Williams. Hi Phil, how are you today?
I'm well, good morning.
Great to have you here for an interview. Since our last interview, you brought out a lot of news. One of it was that you took over Toro Energy in Australia. Does it mean that your focus is now more on Australia?
No, look, I think our focus is clearly on all three of the best jurisdictions in the world for uranium mining: Canada, the US, and Australia. With the Toro acquisition, what we're really adding is a marquee development project in the country. We've had a presence there since basically the very beginning, but we were always looking for that project that could take us to the next level, give us medium-term production in the country, and that's what the Toro acquisition will bring.
Okay, and how's the support in Australia from government for uranium at the moment?
So look, it's been mixed. The history of Australia is quite interesting, right? So Australia has the most uranium of any country in the world in terms of reserves. It's one of the top 5 producers of uranium, but historically there's been certain parts of the country that haven't always been pro-uranium development. We think that's changing. Western Australia, where the Wiluna project that Toro owns, is one of those states that historically has had opposition to uranium mining. This project, though, by the way, has a history of permits, so it's had its state and federal permit in the past. So we're very optimistic that the future is bright for the project. We can get it permitted, we can get it on track over the next 5 years.
Okay, then let's come to North America, to La Rock East. There you started a drill program. What's it for, and when can we await the first results out of it?
Yeah, look, so we continue to see opportunities to expand the resource at Hurricane. And if you don't remember, or your viewers don't remember, the Hurricane deposit is the highest grade uranium project in the world. It's got 48.6 million pounds at 34.5% grade in the indicated category. And we think we're just beginning to untap what the property's potential. So we continue to drill aggressively, both in and around the deposit itself and further along strike to find more deposits. So that's what the program is. We're over halfway through the program right now, and results will be forthcoming shortly after completion in the next few weeks.
Fine. Tony M is a former Energy Fuels mine in the United States. It could become your first producing mine. You launched a bulk sampling program there. What's going on there, and what are the results out of this?
Yeah, look, it will be our first producing mine in the company. And you're right, it was a past producer. In fact, that mine has produced twice in its history, in the early 80s and the mid 2000s. The bulk sample that we're doing, so we're taking 2,000 tons of ore. So technically we are mining the project today. We're almost done that program. And really that program's designed to give us a lot of information that we need to make a decision to go back into full-scale mining. So costs, mining methods, mining rates, the mine plan, all that technical information is coming out of the bulk sample. We're going to feed that into a technical report, including economics, that we'll bring out to the market mid-year, second half of the year. And then that will put us in a position to make that full restart decision, subject to where market conditions are at the time.
So it could be that we see a construction or production decision by the end of this year, and then maybe also you bring some stuff or material to Energy Fuels plant?
Definitely. So we will be in a position to make that decision. We'll make that decision subject to market conditions, where the price is, where the market's going, where we think it's going. We're not in a rush per se. We want to mine Tony M and maximize the value of the deposit, maximize the value of each and every pound that we take out of the ground. What we're doing, the whole point of the bulk sample is to be ready to make that decision when the time is right. And yes, we have a toll milling agreement in place with Energy Fuels at the White Mesa Mill. So that ore, when we make that decision, in fact, the bulk sample is being processed at that mill, but when we make the decision to go into full-scale production, all of that ore will be processed at the White Mesa Mill owned by Energy Fuels.
Okay. Then you recently raised 80 million Canadian dollars. What's that money for, and what can we expect out of it?
Sure. Yeah. So that financing, and I have to say, first off, extremely pleased with the support that we got from institutional investors around the world. The financing was way oversubscribed, tremendous amount of demand, again, from big institutions around the world, including NextGen. So as part of that financing, NextGen put in $25 million to maintain their interest, their 30% interest. Those funds are earmarked for development of the whole portfolio of projects. So whether it's turning Tony M back into production, we're fully funded for that now. So when we take that decision, we don't need to raise additional capital. When we think about Australia, we think about the Waluna project, the cost to develop that project and move that forward, we're already funded for that. And then and exploration programs in the Athabasca Basin and in the United States. We're going to take a keener look at exploring our properties in the U.S. We think there's a lot more to be found on those properties. All of those activities are funded with this program, so we don't need to go back to the market anytime soon.
Okay, then at the beginning of the year or the end of the last year, and you purchased some more premium American uranium shares. What's the idea behind this?
Look, so Premier American spun out originally of a predecessor company at ISO Consolidated Uranium, and where ISO is focused on near-term production in Utah and development of the very large Coal Sill project in Virginia. The Premier American guys, their mandate was to go and acquire more assets in the United States, focus a little bit more on exploration, but also on development. And in the last 2 years since its formation, they've completed 2 public market acquisitions, added significant projects both in New Mexico and Wyoming, and the plans to move those ahead require capital. The company, we're a large shareholder. We have representation of the board, and we're very happy to support them in those endeavors because we think there's tremendous amount of value to be unlocked in that company, and quite frankly, it's mispriced in the market today, in our opinion.
To summarize all this information, what would you say to investors if they ask you for the largest milestones and catalysts for the next, let's say, 12 months?
Yeah, look, I think we are a catalyst-heavy company. We have a number of projects that we are advancing, enhancing, and de-risking. That's how we think about it, whether it's through exploration, development activities, putting forward economics into the market on these projects. But ultimately, we think that being a 3-jurisdiction company in the best countries in the world, we're going to get a re-rating. There is a transformation happening in the market where the Russias and the Chinas and India are taking control of every pound of uranium they can find outside of those jurisdictions that we're in, and the rest of the world is going to wake up very soon and start coming after resources like the ones that we have. We have a significant amount of resources, over 400 million pounds, and I think we're just catalyst rich, as I said, and a company to watch in 2026.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for this insight into your company, and yeah, all the best for 2026. And we keep all fingers crossed for all the plans you have and all the goals, to achieve.
Excellent. Thanks
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Great
ladies and gentlemen, that was Phil Williams, the CEO of IsoEnergy. You heard it. A lot of news to come, a lot of milestones and catalysts, and maybe also a production decision for Tony M. So IsoEnergy could become a producer here in the next, let's say 12 months. I would say watch out for the company, and bye-bye from Toronto.